Hi, and welcome to the SG Child Show. I'm your host, SG Child, and today I'm so pleased, honored, happy, all of the adjectives to have Laura Hales with me today. Hello, Miss Laura.
Hello.
Oh, so great to have you here. I reached out to you to be a part of the 1 in 44 summit and we met prior to that, but it was so great to hear and to see your presentation. I mean, it replays in my mind. It literally
Oh,
does. It replays in my mind because it was just so sweet, authentic, and so educational in a new way that is different than all of the other ways, that are out there right now. So proud of you for that and excited. So without further ado, right?
yes, without further dudes.
Without
No one
further
else knows
ado,
that. Yeah,
I remember
without
that.
further dudes.
Exactly. Yeah, please introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Laura Hales. As you said, I I guess I categorize myself as an author. So I write and publish children's illustrated books about autism acceptance. They're true stories about my sons. And I would call myself an autism advocate. I go around to schools and other organizations, whether they're church groups or I've done Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts. If there are people together who'd like to learn how to help, then and understand better, then I'm there. I also, these are not as related. I'm also a personal trainer for a long time. My degree's in music education.
Oh.
And I know I have them like you, the most random, and I'm
Yeah.
a voice actor. So when I perform the books for groups of people, they're always a little surprised when suddenly a, an older British man is talking to them. They're always like, "Wait a minute, what?" And when I present to kids and I tell them I'm a voice actor, they're always really
So
excited.
excited,
Ask,
huh?
"Are you Mario? And are you Yoshi?" I'm like, "No, I wish." Yeah, I'm like a kid.
That is so exciting. Well, we're so happy to have you here today and to learn more about your books and yourself and just the journey that you're really helping parents and individuals go on. You're just like have this great following, and with that comes great responsibility, right?
Yes, I feel like my shoulders just got heavier,
No, no,
right?
it's wonderful. I mean, build like the same building a community is you don't realize like I think that before I started my autism group, I had just said to my husband, I really want a louder voice. Like, how do I get a louder
Mm,
voice? I don't understand how to scream from the rooftops of my balcony and like get more people to hear me. And it, had its own personal growth, which is beautiful. And now it's like people that reach out, they know and they trust me, and that there is like not that payment is a right kind of word, but it's like I don't know, it reciprocation, like I built this group, and then these people come to me and they are relying on me, and I love getting resources and helping people with things like that. So it's
right.
so fantastic. Ugh.
That sounds amazing.
And the
I mean,
same for you. Like you're following and the your videos and all of the people you're reaching. It's incredible that people can have people like you available to them.
well, and part of what I try to do is that there are so many people involved when you have a child that has special needs, whatever diagnosis they may have. And so we're constantly getting advice
Mm.
all the time from all sorts of different directions. And it's not like that advice is bad advice, or absolutely needed. But what's tricky is that parental perspective of, as a parent, I can understand you need to know about school, how to talk to schools, how to talk to teachers, administrators, how to um, not set yourself against them, but
Mhm.
also be very firm in making sure that your child is getting, their civil rights met through the free and
So much.
appropriate education. Also, relationships that you have with your spouse or your partner, or if you're a single parent. the toll that it can take. Just parenting period is very stressful, let alone a kid who you have to dig deeper to
Yeah.
find how you can help them better.
Yeah.
It just takes more effort to find that information.
Mhm.
um, there's just so many more things that each person that you come in contact with, whether it's a therapist or an occupational or speech therapist or a behavioral analyst or a doctor, psychiatrist, they're all helping you, but they're all helping you from their clinical perspective.
Yeah.
So they have gone to school for however many years, they've observed other kids or adults, and the information, like I said, they give you is very important, but it's without that perspective of,
Yeah.
and as a parent, this
Yeah.
is what that translates into for you to do day to day.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's where other people are saying, oh my gosh. Like when my child's therapist said, yes, that means that they're really adverse to power struggles. And then that was period, end of statement. And they're just like, okay, thank you. What does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah.
And then breaking it down in ways in short videos that people can say, oh, that's what that looked like, or that's
Yeah.
what that verbiage, how it comes across to my kid. Like I couldn't, and it's one of those things where as soon as someone says it, you're like, oh, duh.
Yeah. Right.
But until someone says it, it's
Yeah.
hard to think of yourself, which I totally get
Yeah.
as a parent who's been through that all before.
Mm. No, I think that parent coaching is there's a very fine line that I wish that more companies would understand, just like you're saying. It was so great that they had the parent coach come out, but when I found out, not that discriminate age or anything is a matter, but that she didn't even have children, then I was a little bit like,
Oh,
eh, and
well, and it just
I
means her perspective, where she's
yes,
coming from, will be
exactly.
a learned, from
Yeah,
books and
exactly.
other children. Like these are other children that I'm going through this experience with.
Observing, right.
Right.
But for me, that just didn't cut. And what I needed, that was, like you said, I needed from another parent's perspective, what's worked for you, what hasn't. Tell me what hasn't worked. Tell me the things that have caused struggles for you guys. We tried CBD once. We tried these CBD gummies. Oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. It did two things. It,
Uh-oh.
I think, opened our child's mind, like his imagination went like, and he's already a photographic memory, so it's already out there, and just so big. But it turned on the aggression and the violence that we'd never
Mm,
seen ever before.
wow.
And I was like, nope, that's not for us. This is
Yeah.
he's never put his two hands over his sister's throat. And
Mm,
like, that's never happened. But who would know unless we share all of those informations. And that I don't hear as many not good stories as I do good stories. And I think it's important that you do hear them. It's yes, the school up the street is a great place, and so many people have such a great opportunity and things. Well, my son eloped 4 times in 2 days, and he was
oof.
found on a busy road. He's not going back there. Like, no thanks. No
Oh.
thanks, right?
Oh,
Like
that
it's
stresses me out so bad. I
and
know that happened in the past, but in
yeah,
my head, I'm just like,
and it's like, if
oh.
people don't know that that happened at this place at this time, it's not like bad reviews or bad information. It's real, like, cause to pause and think about, like, is this best for a child that might be an eloper? Maybe that isn't. Maybe they need to take this opportunity to make better reinforcements around their school,
Right.
or and things like that. They didn't, but that's not, I can't I can't be the school monitor when I'm having to now homeschool, right?
Right. That's true.
So it's crazy. No, I think it's really important that we're able to share and a variety of different topics. And I love that you do too, and you dive so deep, and they're real, and they're um real things that families are going through, like you said. It's not like, oh, someday when your son might go to college, here's what might happen. And you're like, he's 7. Like, I need to know what's happening now. Like, what do I do for home lunch or school lunch? Like, what do I do here and now for
Right.
the things I need? So, when did your journey start? When did this all start for you?
Oh, that's a good question. So for me with my own kids, I'd say my oldest was maybe a year to 18 months ish when I had a lot more questions and just a lot more things where when I am around other people and looking at how they parent and the response from their kids, I'm like, I know I'm following through. I know I'm being super consistent. And yet it seems like there's an inability for him to attend and to
Mhm.
really comprehend and understand. Mind you, he's very young. So then you also have these doubts of, well, I'm a first time parent. They're really, really
Mhm.
young. And you have very well meaning people, when they hear your concerns, just say, oh, well, boys always take longer to
It'll grow
develop. And
out of it.
boys are kind of hyper and that's I'm not offended by that anymore. That used to be
Yeah.
incredibly isolating, and I would find myself feeling really depressed and down on
Mhm.
myself when people would say those really well-meaning things. I have quite a tolerance for that now. I just appreciate that they are trying to say, "I love you. I am sorry that you are having a hard time,"
Yeah.
is what I kind of translate
I
as they
like that.
speak,
I like
translate to myself.
that.
But as I mentioned earlier before the podcast, I just remind myself that, but also that's not going to be the person I bring really vulnerable feelings or experiences or information to, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't take their lack of understanding personally. People are good at things and not good at things. You ask me to bake something, and I will bring you a DiGiorno pizza. Like that's the extent of it, and that's okay. That's just not
Yeah.
really my skill. So
My favorite,
it's
actually.
not an well, hey, there we
Hey,
go. It's
right?
not
If I'm the
bad,
baker for
right?
me, gosh, here I
I'd be thrilled if someone brought
am.
me a frozen pizza, okay?
Seriously.
Um, yeah, I just so it's not personal, and the more I understand about my kids, being that all behavior is communication, and it's extends not just autistic children, it's all people, that all behavior is
Absolutely.
communication. So that applies to
Human.
even those people,
Yep. Exactly.
So I'm so much more flexible with I guess my standards of how I view people
Yeah.
and how I judge them. And that doesn't mean that everyone is my best friend or that I am in an emotional place where I can be really close and vulnerable with a lot of people. But I don't think they're bad people. I don't
Yeah.
think that they're maliciously, saying cruel things. I think it's so nice to be in a place where I can look at someone's behavior and just say, huh, oh, they're probably really sad. And that's okay,
Yeah.
Or, and it's the same for my son when he is maybe kicking on the ground. I'm like, ooh, he's really mad.
Yeah.
And I'm just able to see the emotion rather than, I can't believe he would disrespect me like this.
Oh, right,
So
right.
rarely. I don't know if it
Love
ever
that you
has
said
been
that.
about me.
Yeah.
It's not about
Yeah. a
me.
hundred
He's
percent.
really upset. And so when you can,
No,
because that's,
so
I can
true.
understand that. It's so hard not to take that personally. But when you can separate those two things, it leaves you free
Mhm.
from, I don't know, trying to decide how you should feel
Yeah.
about your child, air quotes, disrespecting you like that. Like, how do I make them understand that it's not okay to talk to me like that? What does that say about me as a parent?
Yeah.
That my child feels that way about me. And it's like when you can understand that it's just behavior, literally their disability deals with how they're able to address their emotions in an appropriate way, a socially appropriate
Exactly.
way. And um
I
it's so
agree.
it's so nice to just be able to say, like, you need help.
Yeah,
Like, I see you're in distress and you need help. Like, how can I help you? And then my
exactly.
question is always just, how can I help you? I'm free to focus on that instead of, oh, my feelings are so hurt.
Yeah,
There's no more hurt
exactly.
feelings on my side. It's just, you're in distress and how can I help you?
It's freedom,
Sometimes.
isn't it? I agree with
It
you a
really is.
100%. And I think that it goes across the board. And it's so interesting because our son has a lot more challenges than our daughter. She's, a lot more, just has a lot more experience and what's the word I'm looking for? Come on, brain. Ability to manage things, cope with things. She's
Okay.
her executive functioning is much higher than his. He struggles with a lot of those things. And so, but for her, when we see that he is, repeating his favorite song over and over and over and over again, it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
And with her, it's like we know that she is doing it to get a response and that she's
Uh-huh.
still doing it though. So we still want to give her that, like, okay, it's totally fine. And then you kind of get to the point where, like, okay, where's the line that we draw to put boundaries on a kid who knows more and
Mm,
than who doesn't when they're siblings?
sure.
And that's
That's
so
tricky.
tricky too. And you
Yeah.
can understand that probably as
Oh,
having
100%.
siblings, children that are siblings. I'm an only child. I have no experience with siblings. I have no experience with how to divide, that kind of thing. I mean, they're 12 and 10 now. I've had plenty of years to figure it out. But it's harder, like, to get, to treat them the same but different, treat
Right.
give them the same understanding, but they have different boundaries, so we have to maintain those. They're, male and female, different boundaries, have to
Right.
maintain them. So it's so interesting to walk that fine line.
I know that I mean, I try to explain it to my older son. It's just we're both trying to give you what you need.
Yeah,
And whatever you need is widely different. It's
exactly.
just so, so different. My older son is 12, my younger son is almost 7. My older son has always been very verbal, very intelligent when it comes to reading and writing. My younger son is, um, they say, very typical for his age as far as cognitive abilities go. But some things get a little confusing in verbiage, like time, for example, is a real tricky concept. When we say yes tomorrow, he's doesn't quite understand tomorrow, yesterday, next week, next
Mhm.
month, next year. He keeps saying his birthday is tomorrow.
Oh,
It's
I
not until
love
the end of January,
him.
but in our family,
Yeah,
his is next.
yeah,
And so he
exactly.
keeps thinking, is it my birthday
Next
today?
tomorrow.
So just those kind of moments where
Oh.
we do get a hint of the extent of his capabilities right now and how that can affect how he's perceiving and understanding things. And just like with, I don't know, with dementia patients, for example, when they can't, when they are missing parts of information, they just fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
And it could be good, bad, ugly,
So
fill
true.
in the blanks, right? And I have found that with my son, that if he can't quite understand something, we're getting a little better where he will now ask further questions, which is
Mhm.
great because sometimes we don't know that he didn't quite get it. And we're not connecting that he didn't quite get it, therefore, he's still really frustrated and
Mhm.
upset. But now he is asking some more follow-up questions to say, tomorrow go to trampoline? Oh, no, no. We said this weekend. So today, Tuesday. And then we have to,
Mhm.
draw it out a little
Do
bit
you
for
do
him.
like a visual calendar, and what if you did one that has like the birthday way over here and then you moved something each day on a calendar or something?
I think if he wasn't so devastated that it wasn't actually tomorrow every time he
Yes.
realized it, then yes. But I think he like holds on to hope.
Bless his
That he's
heart.
just devastated that it's not tomorrow. And
Oh.
I think the one of the problems is that and not problem, but one of the things that triggered it was his brother's birthday
Yeah.
recently. So he's like,
Yes.
okay, now it's my birthday because I'm next.
Yes.
And we're like, oh,
Yeah. And ours are
yes,
only
we
3 weeks
are.
apart. So
Oh,
for
kind of nice.
them, it's really is like
It's like birthday
next. Yeah,
time. Yeah.
exactly. December. Oh, were we in trouble? All 3 kids in December
And
and
Christmas.
Christmas. Yes. It's
Wow.
so, I mean, now we have a 22-year-old. She's not so much of a, I don't have to,
Right.
she's
Sure.
not so much stress anymore with that one, but definitely, but we have had to learn, and I'm sure with you too, we've had to learn new strategies for because birthdays are so close together, how
Mm.
much stress and anxiety and overwhelm that causes during that month as well, because we
Oh,
have birthday parties or not, we have
right.
birthday presents, which have to happen, of course. And then we have Christmas, which has to
Uh-huh.
happen, of course, and presents. And so we've kind of been really careful that, we do like a 3-day birthday where it's one present a day or something so that he has time to, because his birthday is first and then his sister's, then he has time to enjoy a present, he has time to accept what it is, play with it. Then the next day, get something else. And then it goes that same thing happens, and he has these days where he's able to just absorb one thing at a time. Plus, then they look forward to being able to open a present on the next day.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so we do that for we try to do that for both of them because we realized right away, okay, now we have to get them each a present on their other perspectives' birthdays because of this not understanding about presents, and
Right.
that was earlier. Now we probably wouldn't have to, but we do anyway because
It's tradition now.
tradition exactly. But like for Christmas, we last year we did the 12 days of Christmas, and I mean some days it was like socks and toothbrushes or something. It didn't have to be like a new bike, a
Yeah,
new
yeah.
bed, right? It didn't have to be
Yeah.
crazy.
Sure.
Who could do that? But it makes it so much easier for processing in our house, for not so much overwhelm, and then it extends that excitement out for so long too.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
interesting,
I love
fun
that. I
things to
love that
do,
that
right?
works for you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think before our daughter, we with our oldest daughter once we did a random Santa where we wrapped everything the same, everybody's presents the same in the same wrapping paper, and then just equaled them out, divided them equally between everyone. And so like our daughter, would open up like dad's tools for work, and then we'd all laugh
What?
because it was dad's tools for work, and
Oh,
she'd give it
that's so
to him.
sweet, though.
Yeah, it was really just fun. I don't even know why I thought of that right now, but yeah, just a fun way to just mix things up and make it like it was we laughed so much that day. We just laughed about getting each other's presents, that didn't have anything to do with us. So it made it really, yeah, different and exciting.
That's
But
really sweet.
we couldn't do that nowadays. Like now that would be a little bit too confusing for
Mm,
DJ probably to get his sister something that it belonged to his sister, might
sure.
cause a little bit of upset. In fact, so got to strategize those things carefully, don't we?
That's true.
Yeah, definitely. So when did you decide to write the books?
I so the books are based on true stories, and we have these events in our lives where we get to see the best and the worst in people sometimes because we
Mhm.
are really vulnerable when we're out in public and we have something happen. And our kid's having a hard time. Generally, when he's having a hard time, it is not a quiet experience, it is quite an attention,
Yeah.
very dramatic moment. And so sometimes it's not great stuff. Sometimes people are laughing. Sometimes,
Mhm.
people are just looking, and that's not always maliciously. It's just, it's very loud. What
Yeah.
is that happening
Yeah.
over there? But then every once in a while, we have somebody from the community that just steps in and does this very small thing that just meets our needs and is very
Mhm.
compassionate and kind. And you can tell to them it's not that big of a deal, but to us, it just made our,
Yes.
our everything.
Mm.
Um, So I started writing about those experiences and just posting them to my social media pages. And I have a friend who, and you always got to have at least one of these friends. She is a no BS kind of person. And she is hilarious and compassionate and wonderful. Her son has Down syndrome, and she will just straight up tell you if something's not good.
Yeah.
But she told me, this sounds like a children's book, Laura. And she used to be an editor for
Oh,
a journalist or something like that. I feel like I
nice.
totally that I feel like none of that is accurate and I just made that up. No, I know she was an editor for something. And so when someone like that tells you out of the
It's
blue,
good.
unprompted, unpressured, I'm not like, what do you think of this?
Exactly.
Waiting for the answer. And when I thought of that, I sat down, and that night when I was putting my youngest to sleep, I literally sat on my phone and wrote the whole thing out in one go, which
Isn't
is
that?
weird.
That's how
I
I
don't
do
really
it.
write like that anymore. Really?
Literally, yeah. Literally, it'll take me 5 minutes, 10 minutes to write a book and a year and a half to put it into production.
Oh my gosh.
I swear that's
It's
what
such a
happened.
process. Like I totally
Yeah.
understand. Because then I have
Yeah.
to, the illustrator and the
Yes.
formatting and editing and what I want to take or not take from. And then there's raising funds. Oh my gosh, that's a
And I
whole
didn't
thing
go
in and
your
of itself.
direction. I don't even think they had Kickstarter when I first started. It was
Oh,
like 8 or 9 years ago. So I don't,
mhm.
they may have, but I didn't know anything about it.
It
I
wasn't just
just,
probably wasn't as
yeah,
big or well known.
yeah. I just Amazon self-published. So it's
Yeah.
they're on there.
Yeah.
That's what we'll
I feel
say.
like I'm trying my best to avoid Amazon
Good
route if
for you.
possible, only because of the ebooks on there.
I know.
But only because, I mean, surprise, surprise, when someone buys your book, you get like $1.50. You're like,
It
yeah,
hasn't made what I thought, it hasn't
you
made a dent
know.
in anything, but
And so
the
I
stories
get
hopefully have helped, right?
that it's helpful. I get, well, right. And I get that it streamlines that process real fast. There's not a lot of upfront costs for you.
No.
Like I have to be in contact with the printer, the printing and shipping from my printer in China is
Yes.
really expensive. The shipping is as much as the printing.
It's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, but I just really, if the funds are there, which is what the Kickstarters are helping with, then I would rather invest upfront and then hopefully, um,
Yeah.
yeah, use those funds towards the printing and shipping. And then I can have like a stock on hand
Exactly.
of books that I can be selling. I hope I don't have to go that, but I get it. And
Right?
a lot of people do it and push really hard for their ads on Amazon to
Mm.
be successful. I know that's a big thing in the self-published community. How
I
can I
don't
get
do that.
my
Maybe I should
ads
try
to
that
be
someday.
successful?
I
I
don't
have
I
no
haven't really
idea.
had much luck with ads on anything, to tell you the
I
truth.
haven't either.
Facebook, we built a Facebook page and it we spent so much on ads and things, that it grew to a fantastic number and that looks really nice, but zero people engage in that page. And it's all
Hmm.
like fake number likes or something
Oh
now is what I
no,
think.
like
I don't and
bots.
it's been a lot. It's maybe 5 years ago that we did that. So yeah, it's disappointing though, when you're like,
Yeah,
oh, this isn't what I had expected this to
sure.
be. I thought these were all real people. But hey, they're numbers, right? It's a number
Yeah,
now. Silly number games.
that's
So,
frustrating.
what do you do? I know you said you go to schools and things like that. Tell us about some of those experiences and presentations that you've done in your community.
Oh, they have been wonderful.
Yay.
So generally they are younger aged groups, meaning elementary. I have done a couple presentations for, it's called the Ability Center of Virginia Beach, where it's a nonprofit organization for adults and children with disabilities, a wide variety of disabilities, not just autism. And when I presented for them this last time, the first time the audience was very quiet and not like well behaving quiet, whatever that might look like, but just just a less vocal group,
Hmm.
which is fine. I have no problem with people behaving however they behave. That I don't really feel, I don't have a problem with that. This time I went the second time, they were very vocal. And part of me was like, what do I want to do here? And the vocalizations that were happening were just really happy, loud stims.
Exciting.
Really loud and constant. And again, the people who were loud were just like really happy.
Yeah.
And so there, I just various times throughout the presentation, I would just be like, I know, right? If we could all just be as happy as our friend over here, like I think we'd all be made in the shade. Like I
Yeah.
am loving how thrilled you are to just like be here existing on
Yeah.
planet Earth. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then there was another gentleman who had Down syndrome in the back who couldn't stop laughing. Like he just kept
Oh.
bursting with laughter. And it would be like at the most tragic part of the book. And
Oh.
so I'd be like, isn't that really also it's hilarious,
Yeah.
and just like that it's okay. But
Yeah.
I remember in that moment being like, there was a couple adults who were like shh
Yeah.
to the people, to the other people. And I remember saying, I have the opportunity to kind of set the tone here
Yeah.
for what I am expecting. And I see nothing disrespectful happening in
Mhm.
this situation. So I felt really lucky that out of all people who could be in this position of you should behave this way or this way, that it was me. And then
Yeah.
I could be like, you're good. I'm
Yes.
just gonna use my mom voice. It's very loud and projecting
Exactly.
and every once in a while, because not just completely ignoring them, like we all know this is happening and it's in that it's getting in the way a little bit of being able to hear me, but also that that's okay. We're
Yeah.
we're still we want you to be here as you are,
Definitely.
and you're not being disrespectful, and you are happy and you are vibing. And then
That's
to have
so
people, for
cute.
example, right in the middle just like stand up and like walk right over to me and be like, I need the garbage. I'm like, oh cool, you got tissue, just put them in the garbage. I think it's like, and that's not a big deal,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I
I
love
love
being like,
that. Yeah. What a
doing
good
what you say
example.
you're going to do, instead
Exactly.
of just like saying it and then in the moment be like, okay, if we could all just
Yeah,
shh,
right.
you can all listen to me, but I could just be like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about in my book. This is how we do
Exactly.
it, y'all. One of my other absolute favorite experiences that happens usually in every classroom, where I don't ask anybody within the classroom if they are autistic or not. I feel that puts people in a very uncomfortable position, especially as children.
Yeah.
So I don't want anyone to feel like they have to, or I should have, but I didn't know what to say. So I don't ask. But more often than not, autistic children self-identify. And so they'll say, oh, me, I'm autistic too, like him in the story. And Alex's headphones are pink, mine are purple. See, look. And they pull them out of their backpack
Oh,
and they're so proud to show all their
that.
classmates, like, yeah, me too. And
Yes.
for me, and so there's been a couple times where I said, well, if you're comfortable with it, I don't know that I'm autistic yet. So you're the expert here. I'm just talking about what I have observed and what I have come to understand from observing my kids. So, do you feel like what I've said is accurate? Like, I kind of want to hand you the mic and say, like, tell us some more if that's okay with you. Just knowing that she's the one in between her and I who has the not upper hand, but just I don't want her to feel like she should be told by other
Yeah.
adults
Like firsthand
how she
knowledge.
thinks, how she feels.
Yeah.
This is what you experience, right? But
Yeah.
once she identified herself, it's like, I love it. You tell me. Did this
Yeah.
sound right to you? Is this what you experienced? And so she was like, yeah, and the one about sound, that's one that really bugs me. You know how I self-soothe? One of the things that I do is I have my pet snake at home and it lays over my neck. And I was like,
Ooh.
ooh. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that works for you. I think I would scream, but I'm so glad that works for you. And that's really cool. And it's just so wonderful to
Yeah.
see them feel proud to be
Yes.
autistic And, I don't know how often, I don't know, maybe they talk about a policeman or they talk about firefighters or doctors and nurses, and other kids might be like, "Oh, my dad's a doctor," or "When I grow up, I want to be whatever it is." I don't know. And that's talking about professions, but just ways that people identify themselves, which is often
Yeah.
professions. And how often these children are just like,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, can't really relate to that like
Mm-hmm.
idea."
Yeah.
Like, I'm and
I'm gonna be
some of them
50
absolutely
things.
make me. Yeah. That, or like maybe their dream is um like, I wanna be a comic book writer, or I
Yeah.
wanna be, um
I just want to eat cake every day when I'm older,
that sounds
right?
amazing. I am all about that. But for them to see characters in books that are like, yeah, that's
Mhm.
how it has been for me.
Yeah.
And to see other people supporting them, and then as non-autistic people, to see what are really helpful ways you can actually meet
Mhm.
someone's needs versus I understand how awkward it can be. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to make
Yeah.
it worse. I don't want to be insulting. Um, and just giving people ideas of
Hmm.
this would actually be really helpful. I feel like is what our books are trying to help people understand.
Absolutely. Well, I think you have one next to you. So hold it up so that we can see
Ta-da!
it. Alex, the drummer, and the drummer.
Yes.
Oh, and I love it.
Alex
I'm
and the
so glad that
drummer.
I got to see it. And I'm sorry I don't have my own copy up here. I'll have to do that
Soon.
soon.
Oh,
But yes, it is so beautiful. And what a gorgeous story. I love, it, like I said,
thank
it's
you.
so different because of the direction that you come from in the story. So I'm not going to give it away so that people go and check it out because it's
So sweet.
seriously, it is such a beautiful book. It has such a beautiful message. It's really, when I say, and I know I put this little, sticker in your comments the other day, be the change that you want to see. That is what you're doing. You are putting
Oh, I'm
in the
trying.
information in front of the people who need it to make the changes that we need to have in our society. So, congratulations,
Yay. And
bravo to
can I
you.
tell you, I'm sure you have this happen too, but when I am not being as monetarily successful as I maybe hope,
Yeah,
and I'm like I said, maybe you've experienced this too. I have people that message me that I've never met before
yeah,
who just say things like, I'm I have new ways of understanding my grandson.
yes,
Or, you know what? I have been getting on my daughter for pacing back and forth. And I just realized because of this video how that's not okay and that needs to stop.
yeah.
Thank you so much for telling me. And
Ah,
just little things like that from people. And one of the biggest ones that
amazing.
people approach me with is helping them with school and interacting with school. And a lot of parents feeling totally powerless and
Yeah,
confused. It's a lot of legal conversation, talk, information. The people who are working with your kid, um, you when you go into the situation, you think, well, they're the experts in
they
this
know,
area,
but you want
right?
to build a team with them instead.
Right, that you are a vital part of the team, and
Mhm.
legally, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And they have all sorts of other considerations they have to take into account, which isn't their
Mhm.
fault. That's just their job. They
Yeah.
have other students, admin has an entire school to run, and your kid, while I'm sure is valuable to them, is one part of that whole system.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but if that's your kid, they are not one part of a whole system.
Mhm.
They are
Exactly.
the whole system.
Right.
They are your entire everything.
Exactly.
So once you and it can feel very difficult to feel like you can say anything or have an opinion or follow up or ask questions or question something, and you don't know how many times people reach out to me to say, I don't know what to do in this
Mhm.
situation. This was the response from the principal. Do you feel like that's okay? um, and just knowing that there are people out there who feel like they can reach out to somebody,
Yeah,
even if it's a stranger, to say, like, I don't know who else to
exactly.
talk to. Because who do
Yeah,
you talk to?
right.
Who do you talk to about that?
Hopefully some of you found her along the way.
Someone random on the internet with
Yeah,
pink hair,
exactly,
right?
right? Oh no,
So
that's so
it
true,
makes it
isn't it?
so worth
Love
it.
it.
And as far as being the change, it's part of it is so selfish. And by selfish, I mean for my kids.
Yeah, sure.
Like, what
Me
wouldn't
too.
you do for your kids, you
Yeah.
know? And as much as it would be nice to advocate for other things and causes, it's like this is one that directly affects my life and my kids' lives.
Yeah.
Where if the world is more understanding and compassionate in very real ways, if I have to educate a little less often because some of that education has become like a baseline for the
Yes.
community, like the whole community is more educated, it's all very selfish. It's like,
No, I agree.
yay, and that everybody gets to come along with that. It's
Yeah.
like, great. I'm happy to spread that share that joy with everybody.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like my kids also benefit
Hmm.
directly from that. And
So much.
what parent wouldn't want to do whatever they could to
Yeah.
build that kind of community for their kids?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's so great too. And I think that probably a lot of moms don't know how and maybe haven't had the same luck that you and I have had in um being kind of like the leader in our community that we're building and really have people rally around us and like unexpectedly. Like I literally didn't expect to, have been in the positions that I've been able to be in because of all of this community building, because of all of the advocating and all of the experience that, like you said, I'm trying to make the world a better place for my kids to be in. Not me necessarily. Like I think that I'm already old enough that I've I've already figured out how to strategize the things that we're still trying to help our children figure out how to
Right,
strategize. So, but we definitely will teach them better ways to do it than, than we
right.
were taught.
A little less
Oh,
trauma involved would
a
be
lot
great,
less. Yeah, like a
right?
0%. Thank you. Yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
great.
yeah. Agreed. Oh, so much. Well, I don't even know. I don't even want to end this. Like, can we keep just going for another 4 hours?
Oh,
Um,
sure.
it's been so great to have you here today. And I mean, I'd love you to come back on when the second book comes out. There's so much more we can have you back on to talk about, just about your videos. Like, girl, you're stuck with me now.
Sure. I love it. It's a good stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. And I'm really proud of you. And I'm
Thank you.
excited to see all of your growth and progress and excited for your boys because they really are the ones who are getting the most out of this for you,
Right.
from you
Right.
rather.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
yay. And your husband, you all get that more understanding
Will
and more
you tell
perception.
him that?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you clue him in? Can
Start
you write a little note
the
that's like,
husband club.
you're so freaking lucky to have her.
Exactly.
XOXO universe.
I
I'm
love it.
just
I
kidding.
love it.
He's great. I feel like in any kind of paired relationship, you're always more picky of your partner than anyone else would be, but you're always more complimentary of your partner than
Isn't that
anyone
the
else would
truth?
be, you know?
Isn't that the
So
truth?
I do the same thing. I give him a hard time, but
Exactly.
I do the same thing
You
too.
have to. Absolutely, you have to. Oh my gosh. Well, it's been such a pleasure. Tell us where we can find you. Give us all the juicy places to go.
Oh, so many. So on Facebook, my Facebook group is tinyurl.com/ the drummer stories, or you can just look for my name, Laura Hales. My bookshop is http:// alexandthedrummer.square.site. I do have a TikTok, Laura Hales 28. I do have another TikTok at the drummer
Ooh,
stories. I know it's a
I gotta
whole
find you
because
there.
it thinks I still live in Korea thing.
Okay.
Bummer, right? I have an Instagram at the drummer stories. If you're unsure of where you can find me, if you just search either my name, Laura Hales, or at the drummer stories, you'll find me.
Perfect. Oh,
You'll
I
find.
love that. We
My
will
pink hair
find
will
you.
follow you everywhere.
That's fantastic. I'll make sure to
Yay.
have all of those links up on the screen down in the description box. And we will be so excited to have you back on again in the future. Laura, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
all of this amazing conversation today. And I hope that everybody enjoys it and goes and checks these books out. Check out her videos because they're changing people's lives. And I wouldn't recommend somebody that I didn't truly believe in anyway. So
Mm.
bless your heart.
Oh,
Thank you so much for being here today.
thank you.
And we will be in touch.